Welcome back. Now, talking about communication for development. Now, it's more than just spreading information, but using communication to drive social change and empower communities, particularly ensuring that men and women have equal access to information and decision making and participation. Well, we'll expand more on that this morning with Ndidi Duru. She's the founder, Talk to Solve Awareness Group, talking about communication for development from the gender perspectives. You're welcome. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Okay, so just let's dive right into this conversation. What does communication for development mean to you? And why is it also important when applying it to the gender perspective?
Okay, so just like the name applies, communication for development, whatever brings a change to the society, whatever brings transformation, whatever brings, just alters an anomaly in the system, okay? That is what communication for development is all about. So sometimes in the society, there are things that just don't go the way we expect them to, especially as civilized people, as global citizens. Ways we used to do things that were okay at this point in time needs to be changed. Do you understand? And there has to be a channel to effect this change, and that channel is the communication. That is exactly what you and I are doing, creating awareness. And then when you look at use of technology, you go through social media, you know, where we correct things that we used to think was okay, and now our eyes are open to it. And looking at it from the gender perspective, now we're talking about gender parity. Okay, now we're talking about seeing what is good for both male and female, seeing how we can accommodate each other for a better future and a better society, seeing how we can avoid discrimination, and seeing how we can avoid leaving some people behind. And that's why we talk about inclusion. So communication for development is whatever information that takes us to the next level, that causes transformation, that engenders real development. So that's exactly what we mean by that. Advancement, actually.
Yeah, now, since we're talking on communication, this also borders on information and access to this information and inclusion as well. So how would you say that the gender gap in media affects communication when it comes to development, and what can be done to ensure that both men and women have equal access to the relevant information that they need, particularly in rural and low-income communities? So
you said something about gender gap in media. Nobody understands you like you. Do you understand? If the affairs of the media is controlled by men, it's a problem. Okay? Women have to be represented as well. There are certain decisions that men cannot take for women. That's the truth about it. Okay? The way we work with men should not tell us alone how we should work with them. When women are in the decision-making body, we can say, okay, this works for everybody. I give you an instance. Some people say employing women in certain spaces, that it can be problematic. You know, at some point, she could get pregnant and she'll be away for some time. The moment she starts having children, she gives excuses. I can't travel to this place, I can't be here by this time, and all that. While all those are true, you see, it can also be accommodated. Assuming you have a woman in the midst of decision makers, those men, the woman could say, this shouldn't be a disadvantage. We can actually work something out. Okay? Must this meeting be done in the night? It mustn't be done. What if we do it virtually? Okay? What if, because women are involved, there are certain areas we cannot do this meeting just to protect them? Are you seeing the difference right now? There are certain decisions you can take for women. When you're talking about women's rights, when you're talking about our body, our choices, these decisions cannot be made by men. You understand how it works. A man could say, oh, because a woman gets pregnant and sometimes her menstrual cycle, we can put her in some decision-making bodies or some executive positions or some position that requires strength and all that. You as a woman will say, no, my menstrual cycle is not a problem. My pregnancy does not make me, like, it's not a challenge to me. I can do everything you do. So don't look at me from the pity party. No, it doesn't stop me. The only thing is that I might be slower and we can accommodate that. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I say this because there are certain decisions men cannot take for women. So in the media, it's important that women are everywhere. For instance, if there are women in politics, okay? And when I say politics, I mean people who do political analysis. Okay, I tell you, there are ways women see things, and that is not to say that women are better than men. There's an appeal a woman brings, an appeal a man brings. I tell you, things will be balanced. Even in the political space, if a woman finds herself in such a place of influence, there are platforms, there are ways you can create platforms for women. Do you understand? If you understand that in Nigeria we run money politics, you could talk to people in that political space, and most women don't have this amount of money. How can we create an avenue or a chance for a woman to be able to contest, whether she has money or not? Should there be a special package for this woman, knowing fully well that the amount you expect of a person like this is crazy? I don't know if you're understanding what I'm saying. So this can only happen when women are on that table making that decision. So yes, that gender gap is still a challenge, but I thank God, like I said, it is evolving. These days I see a lot of women representation in the media, and I pray it will continue. I pray it's not just, you know, before the TV and behind the TV. I also pray that in the decision making bodies, I keep referring to that you have a lot of women there. It would actually affect the way things go.
Okay, so what barriers exactly prevent women from accessing and benefiting equally from the communication technologies?
Okay, so let me start with illiteracy. You see, when we talk about women, we are actually looking at us, the privileged ones. Okay. But I like to start from the downtrodden, the rural women. How much of information do they have? And these are people who are going to effect a change. The real voters, they are the ones. The real, what do I call them? The real victims of the society, they are the ones. How much information is available to them? How intentional are we about educating them and bringing them up to speed? Up until now, some of them can't even read or write. Okay? And apart from reading, the ones who can read, do they even have access to internet? And do we even reach out to them? Those of us that are in privileged areas, do we reach out to them? Do we even organize awareness campaign
for them? For
them. Our advocacy stops in town, most likely to people who don't even need it. I attended one of I'm not going to call the institute that did it, and they said they were having a youth development program. And in the youth development program, I was seeing heads of civil servants, heads of civil service. I was seeing some politicians. I saw every other person but the youth themselves. I didn't see students from universities. I didn't even see those of them from secondary school. I didn't see buses bringing in rural students, because these are the people we're speaking about. So that's what I'm talking about, education. What is how intentional are we, you know, about getting them to be aware? What programs are you doing? What vehicle are you using? Churches, media, NGOs, civil society, like those are the gaps. And then the other one is health. Okay? I mean, for you to be talking to somebody, the person has to be well. The person has to be well. Again, we're talking about people in the rural area. What information is available to them about managing themselves, as basic as sanitation? What information? The healthcare systems you find in rural areas, how is it? You can imagine how horrible the ones in town are. Just compare it with what you now see in the village, where no eyes goes. And even if the eyes go, what can they do? Do you understand? And how about networks? What networks have you created for them? Are there groups you have created so that if they have problem, the groups can speak for them? Because sometimes as an individual, there's nothing you can achieve. You have to belong to a body that speaks for you. And let's even look at governance, rural governance. How included are they in the rural governance? Who speaks for them? Who are these voices that speak for them? Not to mention all of us, even the people in town. How aware are we? What quality of women, because I'm now focusing on women, do we have now? What's even our value? The Z word kind of women, or the makeup kind of, and I'm not against it, because if you look at me, girl, I painted my face, okay? But there has to be quality to this content. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So all of this makes it difficult for the development we're looking for.
Yes, and I took particular interest in the education part that you mentioned, because I mean it's an integral part of, you know, empowering people. How can we create a gender sensitive communication when it comes to education to, you know, bridge this learning and awareness gaps between men and women? And also we see that women are usually targets of these educational campaigns rather than participants, active participants of these things. So how can we shift, you know, that narrative?
Okay, so I even have a problem with, I think that most of the focus on education, I would even say it's on women. Okay, because whether you go to churches, I don't know about you, I am an Anglican, you have Girls Guild, you have Women's Guild, you have Mothers Union, you have everything the woman. And guess what? Oh, as a woman, you are the soul of the family. You are to endure. Christ has told us to be patient. Keep praying for the man. And I'm wondering, when are we going to have Boys Guild? When are we going to have like real, you know how you have Girls Guild, from Girls Guild to Women's Guild, from Women's Guild, and when are we going to have that for men? So if you ask me, I would say a balanced gender education for both men and women. I think this time around, let us focus on the boy child. Imagine telling boys from a young stage to learn to respect women, to treat girls as gold. Do you understand? To accommodate girls, to be intentional in making sure a girl is on any table and platform you find yourself. To treat a woman with love, with respect. That's how it starts. Boys should be taught that. Imagine growing up and your mom is, Chinwe, go and wash the plate. You go and do this one. And then you're telling the boy, you know you're on Oche. Take care of yourself. Take care of your sisters. While talking to them, talk to them with respect and all that. Tell them what to do. Do you understand what I'm saying? So from day one, you have told the guy you are king. You tell them what to do. They run around for you. They fetch you water. They cook. Do you understand that entitlement mentality? You have implanted it on the child from childhood. Guess what? He grows with this all through his primary education. There is no gender education. Nobody teaches you that. Nobody teaches you to be gender sensitive. In fact, the other time my daughter was telling me, Mommy, that every games period, though, that guys chance us. They play basketball and they play football, and then we are asked to sit down and watch. But if you started teaching these children gender parity or gender education from day one, they would know that, listen, as much as I want to play basketball, these people also want to play. So we'll have to alternate it. Okay, everyone must be included on this sports table. So ladies, now that you want to play basketball, can we do it? You play on Monday, I play on Tuesday. Okay, so it's just the gender education that I'm talking about. We must be intentional about this. We must entrench it in our church communication, in the social media, whatever platform of dissemination of information, we must be intentional about gender education. Whatever you want to talk about, make sure you balance it. Say everyone, be sensitive to such topics. So when we talk about gender education, what does the curriculum even contain? What does it contain? Have we started talking about violence against women? How it even starts? How the family supports it, the society?
The
church? Have we started teaching ourselves that? What are we even doing? The gender education we're talking about, the educated ones in the church, what do we discuss with our pastors? Because some of these pastors that interpret the Bible and turn it upside down are abusers themselves. I'm telling you the truth. You hide under evangelism and all that. You deny your family your presence. You deny your family your role as a father because you claim you're raising life. So no, there's something called work-life balance. And this kind of damaged person goes to the church to preach to them. And I'm not just singling out the church. Even in offices, how do our bosses treat women? When you talk to a woman, I don't know whether you've seen bosses that are nice when they are talking with men and very rude when they talk to women. They have no respect, no regard for women. You see it in the choices of topics they give to you as a woman. I've mentioned it here before. You want to talk about something sensitive, something that requires high IQ, you assemble the men. And then something that requires caregiving, you call the women. You haven't insulted a woman, but you have told her that there's a place she belongs to. And that's the way the wider society see women. People of caregiving, caregivers. You relegate them to the background. You don't even stimulate them to give you what they can. It is because someone gave Akonyele a chance that we even use somebody like her.
Okay, so let's look at the role that men can also play in situations like this. What role can men play in gender-sensitive communication for development?
Cooperating with women, joining us in this fight to giving women a voice. That's what they can do. Just imagine as a man that in an office where you are a head or a boss, and you see some people, acting in a, how do I put it now? Manifesting discriminatory manners or rules. What you should do at that moment is to tell them that our company does not approve of this. In fact, if you study the cause of our company or the vision it is contained there. So make sure that wherever you head, that you're intentional about talking about gender equality and gender balancing. That is how men can do it. They can lend a voice on their different platforms. Wherever they find themselves, they can talk about that, how to educate others. Another thing is to help the boy child realize the relevance of the girl child and what we can achieve if we decide to work together. I think this is the most important thing they can do. And then to support platforms that promote women. Those are the things we can do. When we talk about women empowerment, people need to sponsor such things. Capacity building, skill acquisition. When you hear about financial information or leeway, let the women know about it. Whatever you can do to help them become somebody, have a voice, and have a place on the table of societal development, do it. That's how men can help women develop.
Now, what about journalists, women who are in communication of all sorts, whether it's traditional media, social media, or any other kind? What can they also do to promote this gender inclusion in their work?
That's exactly what you're doing. Okay, be intentional about propagating ideas on gender balancing. Whatever space you get, do it. Whether you're on the social media, talk about accommodation, not just inclusion. Accommodation is an unfair statement. Inclusion, why it is necessary to have women on that table. Because you can't speak for them. You need to allow these people to speak to you, and they will tell you their problems. They will tell you where it hurts. I remember one of the awareness campaigns we went for, we were talking to women and all that, and one of them raised her hand. And she said, my dear, I enjoyed all that you have told me, but the truth about it is that there is no money. You can't be telling me to learn this skill and learn the other one. She said, the last time you came here, remember the skill you taught us? I said, yes. She said, well, you also taught us apprenticeship. I said, yes. She said, I have gone there. We have learnt the tailoring and everything. There's no machine to do it. So someone has to help us. If you can help us reach out to our chief and tell them to call the wealthy people in our society to see how they can raise funds for people like us. She said, all you just need to do for me is to give me one sewing machine. I don't even need a shop. I can do it under the tree. Do you understand? I'm able to know this because I actually got the grassroots, gave her a platform to speak. If I didn't do that, I would have just said, the problem is the knowledge. They don't have the knowledge. Once they have the knowledge, that's all that matters. No! Now they have the knowledge, but they don't have the resources. And I do know that the centers, that their duties could be to empower people like this, but they don't have that information. So the work of a journalist is to help them find out how they can access this help, if it is available. Find out how they can, the society can mitigate their problems. It is doable.
Okay, just like now, you know, like the ethical considerations to put in place when addressing issues like this. What are those considerations that people can also put in place when we have sensitive conversations like this?
Okay, I think lawyers should be in the best position to answer this. As far as I'm concerned, as long as you're not taking a person's personal, this is my understanding, a personal life to the public, anything that would damage the person or the institution involved in that. That's my understanding. I really don't want to go so much into this so that I don't say what I'm not very sure of.
All right.
Yes.
So now looking at Nigeria, how would you assess our progress so far when it comes to integrating this gender inclusion that we're talking about into communication for development?
Well, I must say there's an improvement. It is evolving. It was not always like this. Okay, I think there's, in fact, let's not even underestimate the power of social media. Social media has done a lot for women. I mean, I don't want to call name. In the recent time, there is a case of a powerful man being married to some lady, underprivileged lady, in my opinion, you know, and for whatever reason, you know, everybody has been pushing for the lady, you know, and pushing for the lady is not necessarily because the people love the lady, but I think it is because people are speaking for other ladies who don't have a voice, a platform, who don't have opportunity to be seen. Do you understand? Many years back, you wouldn't have been able to do this. Where will you see the woman? I mean, if you look at the laws we have, whether it is rape, whether it is violence against women, you will see that it is still vague. Okay? The means of attaining justice is still almost impossible. Very rigorous. You know why? Because the people behind that are mostly men. The day you have majority of the women taking this decision, oh my God, you will see how rape will end in Nigeria.
Okay.
Because it will be stringent. We are the recipients of this, so we know how it hurts. We're not going to make it as rigorous as they have made it.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
I mean, we'd love to continue this conversation, and hopefully we'll have more conversations like this in the future. It's a pleasure to have you.
You too. I'm glad to be here always.
Thank you so much once again. Our guest is Ndidi Duru, who is the founder Talk to Solve Awareness Group. And of course, we had a conversation around the communication for development from the gender perspective. We'll go on a short break, and when we return, we will have another conversation on today's show. Do stay with us.